NewsNation, Monday at 8 Eastern. Only on America's fastest growing cable news network.
All right, welcome back here to the Hill. So nothing to see here. That is essentially the takeaway from a new Pentagon report about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. It rebuts claims made by David Grush, the career intelligence official who told NewsNation in an exclusive interview last year that, as he claims, the U.S. government has secretly been in possession of non-human spacecraft or non-human materials. But today, the Pentagon's report shut those claims down. Here was the press secretary, Pat Ryder, earlier today.
So what we found is that claims of hidden programs are largely the result of circular reporting by a small group repeating what they heard from others, and that many people have sincerely misinterpreted real events or mistaken sensitive U.S. programs as UAP or being extraterrestrial exploitation.
All right, joining us now, NewsNation special correspondent Ross Coulthart and investigative journalist Bryce Zabel. Ross, Bryce, hello to you both. Come on in. Ross, we'll start with you. Pentagon says, you know what? You don't, nothing there.
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? But the simple fact is, the simple fact is, I've been talking extensively to people inside that legacy crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, and as confronting as it may sound to this audience, it really is the case that there is a covert program that's been in operation now for decades. It's been kept secret by a very small cadre of people within the Pentagon and the intelligence community. And the big question to me really is, was AARO misled? Was the Pentagon's UFO body misled? Or did it not have the power to properly investigate? Because I don't think it did. It certainly didn't go and kick the door in Area 51. It didn't go and look inside the caves of Groom Lake. There's been no active, proactive effort to get out into the field. As far as I can see, all they've done is picked up a phone and politely asked the bosses of Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, I say, guys, do you have a flying saucer in your basement? Oh, you don't. Terribly sorry to trouble you. We'll move on. It's not good enough, and nobody's buying it.
Bryce, here was part of the report that caught my attention, and
Sure.
it led to a lot of questions. It's lengthy. Stick with me. It says AARO, the body that Ross talks about, assesses that all of the named and described alleged hidden UAP reverse engineering programs provided by interviewees either do not exist, are misidentified authentic national security programs that are not related to extraterrestrial technology exploitation, or resolve to a disestablished program. What does that mean when they're talking about a disestablished program or a misidentified national security program?
Well, the interesting thing is if you actually read the 60 pages, and I doubt very many people have so far today, and we're probably doing what we're doing based on the executive summary, but by disestablished programs, they go through at great length to talk about the various investigations the government has had. Most of them have been disestablished over time. I guess we're talking about the ones that Ross is talking about, where you say, okay, something actually is going on. And Ross and I certainly know about people who say that they either worked on those programs or know very much about them. But I think the really interesting thing about this is the report, as I read it, says over and over, basically, as you put it, nothing to see here. But the interesting thing is, in going to the great lengths that it goes to say so many of these things are easily explained, is hardly news. Ross and I would agree with that 100%. These things are the kind of things that have been explained over and over. It's the 2 to 3% that haven't been explained historically through all the programs they've talked about. Those are the ones where they should be looking into those cases, because those are people that have seen craft. These are commercial pilots, military pilots, police officers, government officials.
Right.
There's a whole lot of things here that they're just saying nothing to see here, and they're tarnishing the whole group of witnesses on this.
Hey, Ross, thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.